Hi everyone, C3 here, and welcome to our Introduction to Spreadsheets Part 1 course. In today's course, we're going to talk about what a spreadsheet is. We'll give you a definition in a few moments. Then after we define what a spreadsheet is, we'll give you some examples of how you can use a spreadsheet. And we also want to share some applications that are available that you might want to consider if you're interested in making your own spreadsheets. And then finally, we'll give you a quick demonstration of how to access one of these applications. But first things first, let's take a look at what a spreadsheet is. If you go out to Google and you Google the word spreadsheet, you'll get this definition, which I believe is from dictionary.com. A spreadsheet is simply an electronic document in which data is arranged in rows and columns of a grid. And this data can be manipulated and used in calculations. In the graphic that's just appeared over to the right, you can see that grid. This is a depiction of what a spreadsheet kind of looks like. Along the top, you can see that we've got column headers A, B, and C, and then along the side, on the left-hand side, you can see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are row headers. So where the columns intersect with a row, you have a cell, just like this one right here, this first cell that's on the screen where that circle is kind of blinking in and out. Okay? That's a spreadsheet. It's basically a grid. So what can we use these grids for? How can they be useful to us? Well, I've used spreadsheets for many different reasons. One type of spreadsheet that I've created in the past was a contact list. Simply a grid, like a table with first names, last names, phone numbers, cell phones, home phones, addresses, email addresses, mailing addresses, and so forth. So you can actually use a spreadsheet application to create a spreadsheet to manage your contacts. Another kind of spreadsheet I've used before is to do some type of asset tracking. Give you an example. I have a number of videos that I plan on producing. And in those videos, there might be assets, there might be certain articles that I'm referring to, or how about this? There are some blog posts that I'd like to use, and there are maybe some other documents that I want to refer to, or I have a spreadsheet that has a list of all the different assets, be they articles, websites, videos, what have you, other forms of media, where I've got the name of the asset, the category, is it a video, is it an article, where it's located, is it a certain website, do I have it stored on a hard drive, where I'm using it, and so forth. I have a spreadsheet for that, and you could use spreadsheets in that manner as well. Another use that I really liked was I created my own grade book using a spreadsheet. I teach college level courses, and I've also substitute taught at the middle school and elementary school level, and there have been times where I've needed to keep track of grades for my students. So in the spreadsheet, if you can imagine, I've got columns for the first name, a column for the second name, and then for each row I've got the information for each individual student. So first name, last name, and then let's say, for instance, if we're talking a college class, maybe for the semester there are 10 assignments. Well, I have each of those assignments listed along in the column, and I can actually place the score for each student in each column for each assignment. And then at the end of the spreadsheet, there is another column where their actual grade is automatically calculated. That's that manipulation thing that that definition was talking about. We can actually have the spreadsheet calculate values for us. The last example, which is the one we're going to use in a future video as we go through and create our own spreadsheet, is a budget. If you would like to track your expenses, track your income, or say, for instance, if you're running a business and you want to track your liabilities and your revenue and figure out what your profit is, and you want to do that on a quarterly basis, or you want to see the annual figures, the monthly figures, the weekly figures, the daily figures, whatever the case may be, you can create a spreadsheet for that. So spreadsheets can be very, very useful, especially when you want to calculate data. So what are some examples of spreadsheet applications that are out there? Well, one of the most popular ones is Microsoft Excel. That was the first program that I really got comfortable using. And the neat thing is this. If you're comfortable with Excel, but let's say you don't have Excel, you know, Excel costs money. That's a part of the Office 365 suite. At least that's what it was called at the time of the making of this video. If you want to have Excel-like functionality, but you can't afford the Excel-like price, there are a number of free spreadsheet applications that have a very similar format, a very similar environment that can do very similar things as Excel can do. Not only that, these applications can open Excel documents and edit Excel documents and even save them in a format that Excel likes. A good example is one called OpenOffice Calc. Totally free. Looks like Excel, works very similarly to Excel. Another one, which we'll be using in our continuing courses, is Google Sheets. If you have a Gmail account, you have a Google Sheets account too, believe it or not. So those are three. There are tons others. As a matter of fact, if you go to tessera.biz, there's an article there. I'll make sure I'll put a link to that article in the comments section so that you can see the listing of, there's at least, I want to say, 10 different spreadsheet applications out there, including these three that we've talked about here today. So, last but not least, how do you access Google Sheets? Well, the first thing I may mention of is that if you have a Gmail account, you have a Google Sheets account too, regardless as to whether or not you've used it. Okay? So if you want to access your Gmail account, if you want to access your Google Sheets account, if you want to access your Google Drive account, first thing you need to do is launch your browser. Now, depending on the device that you're using, when we say browser, we're talking specifically about laptops. Okay? Granted, you have browsers on your tablets as well as your mobile phones and other mobile devices, and you can indeed access Google Sheets through those browsers. However, for the mobile phones, for the tablets, Google has actually made an app that makes it a lot easier. But for the purposes of this course, we're going to be recording this on a laptop, so we're going to be showing you how you would access this from your notebook, your Chromebook, your laptop, your computer, even if you have a full-size desktop computer. As long as you got a browser, you can access it. Why? Because Google Sheets is a cloud-based application. And again, it's totally free with your personal Gmail account. Browsers include Google Chrome. That's the one we'll be using in a few moments. We also could use Firefox if we preferred. For our Apple users out there, Safari will work. Opera, excuse me, that's another browser that's available out there that you can use. Microsoft Edge, if you still have the old Internet Explorer, that might work too. But you've got to launch your browser. Once you launch your browser, you need to access Google Sheets, and one way to get there is through your Google Drive. So you can go to drive.google.com, and once you reach that page, there's going to be a login for you where you would put in your credentials. If you're using your own personal Gmail account, you would use your Gmail address and you would put in the password for that Gmail account. You might also be using a private domain, which is powered by Google Suites. There are schools that use this. There are businesses that also use this. You could sign on there using those credentials, whatever your email address is for that organization. Just be careful, though, and know this, that that private domain does not have the access to your personal domain. So you can't access your private domain Google Sheets from your personal email, nor can you access your personal Google Sheets from your private domain account. So they're totally separate, though they look the same and work similarly. When we go through our tutorials, I'll be using my private domain, which is through Tessera Enterprises LLC. And you'll see, though, it looks just like Google Sheets. And it works just like Google Sheets because it is Google Sheets. It's just not the personal one. Once you get inside and you log in, you go ahead and you'll click the New button because you want to start a new Google Sheet perhaps. There are also ways of opening sheets that you've saved before, which we'll cover in later classes. But once you click that new button, you'll get a menu that gives you a ton of different options. The one that we've highlighted here for you is Google Sheets. You would click just one time on Google Sheets and it'll open it up for you. So now that we have discussed it, let's show you. So here we are on my desktop, and I've got a number of browsers available for me to use. I'm going to use Google Chrome, and you can see the indicator there indicating the Chrome icon. I'm going to double click on that to launch my Chrome browser. And I really like using Chrome, especially given that it's made by the same company that makes Google Sheets. But certainly it will work in other browsers as well. So here's my home page. Now I may mention to you one way that you can get to your Google Sheets is to go to your Google Drive. So in the top portion of the browser, I'm going to go into the address bar and type in the Uniform Resource Locator, also known as the URL or the web address, which is drive.google.com. You'll notice on my screen that it finished it for me because I've gone there quite a few times. Usually when I type in Drive, that's where I'm going. So if it finishes it for you, great, no problem. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. After you type it a few times, it'll finish for you likewise. But once it's either finished or you're done typing it, you can press Enter on your keyboard, and it's going to take us to the login page for the Google account. If you're using your personal Gmail account, you would use that Gmail address and password. If you're using an account for a private domain, you would use that email account username and password. I'm going to use my private domain through tessera.biz. That's located right here. I'm going to click once on that, and it's prompting me for my password. Once I type in the password successfully, voila, I'm in Google Drive. So here's our Google Drive interface, and you might recall I made mention of a button that was labeled New. This is what the button looks like at the time of this recording. Don't be surprised, Google does go through and make updates to its interface. And if you see a new button, hopefully it works the same way as this. With one click with my left mouse button, it gives me access to a drop-down menu. And in this menu, I'm looking for Google Sheets. And with one click there, the Google Sheets workspace will open up for me. And you'll see that grid that we were talking about before. Notice the column letters. Notice the row numbers. Congratulations, you've made it to your Google Sheets. So that pretty much concludes our video. What we did in this video again, well, we talked about what a spreadsheet was. We gave you some examples of what spreadsheets can be used for, and we gave you some examples of some spreadsheet applications. So having done all that, we want to thank you for watching this video, and we hope that you will take an opportunity to share your comments below. Subscribe to this channel so that you'll get notifications of new videos as they come out, and give us a like. We're putting forth a great deal of work, and hopefully you will like the videos that are coming. By the way, please check the links also underneath this video, beneath this video. Again, we'll have a link for the website that gives a list of the different spreadsheet applications, and we'll also provide you with some other resources that can be helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and again, this is C3 encouraging you to stay connected. Till next time.